Hey YouTube, how's it going? Venom20 here tonight. So last week I did my second ever Q&A. I asked you guys to get 200 likes and I would do another one, and you did it. You killed it. You got like 230 likes within the week. That's awesome. I appreciate it. So as long as you guys keep getting these likes, I'll keep filming these and uploading them every weekend. So in tonight's video, of course, it's a question and answers video. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down to the comments. I will apologize. This video is a little long, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of really good information because you guys ask a lot of really good questions. So yet again, try to get 200 likes by next week. We'll do this again until you run out of questions or I run out of answers or we both get bored of it. Anyway, enjoy. John Case asks, besides the mambas, what other snakes keep you on your toes in terms of danger? I've mentioned this before, taipans definitely keep me on my toes. Any of the Bothrops species, all those can be a little crazy, but for the most part that's about it. I try to treat every venomous snake with respect, but for the most part I understand that just as long as I stay out of strike range, I'm at a pretty good distance. The Red Devil NC asks, have you ever been bitten by a venomous snake? Lower Bama also asked the same thing. Have you ever been bitten by a venomous reptile? Answer to that one is no. I have never been bitten by a venomous reptile. I've had about 2 close calls, maybe 3 close calls, but all those are just complete and utter mistakes. With that being said, I strongly believe that it's possible, being a venomous keeper, that you can make it your entire career without ever getting bit, with the right protocols and the right handling all in line. Now, with that being said, there's always freak accidents. So let's say I take a black mamba out of his enclosure and the power goes out. That's a sketchy moment. That's one of those, you just got to be lucky. You got to have a flashlight on hand. You got to have backup generator. There's a lot of things that have to be in line for that to all turn out good. But at the same time, if you never have one of those instances and you're still getting bit all the time, maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're in the wrong profession. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to the next one. Alien Soup asked a really good question. This is actually on a different video, but the question is so good, I'm like, man, really got to answer this one. Can a snake effectively strike sitting on a slippery surface? According to Newton's second and third laws, a snake cannot propel itself forward without pushing against something. That's a very, very good question. If you notice, I work on tile or I work on a slick table. That's because if I was to work on sandpaper, that Bothrops would have the power to really jump, really push itself off. It would get a much better strike. If you were to work on carpet, I feel like a snake gets a better strike off of carpet than it does on tile. If you get a mamba fully wound up, it's going to be able to take off a lot better on dirt, on concrete, on grass than it is going to be able to on tile. Now at the same time, I feel like it's kind of a catch-22. The snake gets better traction, but it also makes the snake more comfortable. So it's kind of a toss-up. Do you want the snake to be more comfortable, or do you want to have the upper advantage? You know, just, in my opinion, anything that you can do to make yourself a little safer, the better. So in my opinion, I like working on tile. I like working on a slick table. Might not make the snake quite as comfortable. That's debatable. But I know also if I'm working inside an enclosure and the snake's all the way into the back corner of the enclosure, really watching what I'm doing. Because he has not only the leverage he gets to push off of that wood chips or whatever type of bedding he's on, he can also push off the side of that cage and they can almost launch at that point. So that's one thing to take always into consideration. Me, myself, I love physics. I'm not great at physics. But I mean, at the same time, I've been handling 15 years and never taken a bite. So I think something's going on up here to say, might not be a good idea. Should be safe doing this. So anyway, next question. John Case, again, is it possible to obtain a golden lancehead? So golden lancehead is Bothrops insularis, a very rare snake that's only found on one island. This island is completely... It's outlawed by the government surrounding it. No person can go on said island without documentation. I'm not sure if that's because of the snakes or because it's really rocky around there and the waves hit the island really hard. so it's pretty dangerous to try to land this island. Anyway, no, you cannot. That's a snake that is, I don't think it's federally protected, but it is protected by the islands down there that state that just more or less they don't want any of the snakes leaving the island. Good thing and bad thing, yet again, I believe conservation's everything. I believe captive breeding is a really good thing, because if we have more of these snakes in captivity, the more everybody can learn about them. Not only that, tiny little island. If that island gets hit with a tsunami or a huge hurricane, it could decimate the species. The species could be gone forever. But at the same time, that is a very, very toxic snake. One person once said, I can't remember if scientist, can't remember who said it, but I think they were pretty spot on. They said it's 5 times more toxic than any mainland variation, which it actually seems. There's 4 island variations there: the Insularis, the Martinique Lancehead, the Lanceolatus, the Alberezzi? I'm probably getting that one wrong, bear with me, in the Caribbeus. All 4 of those are islands. All the bothrops from those islands are the most toxic on Earth. So with that being said, it's a scary animal to have in captivity, but at the same time, I think we really should. I know some zoos have them, but I think it's few and far between. Anyway, next question. Sorry for diverging a little bit on that one. I will touch on this one real quick. Jack of all, masters of none, ask, who's the best source to buy Venomous from? I hate to say this. I honestly think that if you don't know, you really probably shouldn't own Venomous at this stage. For me, when I got into it, I just did networking. You know, I met a person who knew a person who worked with Venomous. I wanted to get to know that person, so I became friends with him. Moved on, moved forth. Finally, he's like, hey, I got the snake for sale. You know, and I got Reptiles that way. I learned a lot that way. Nowadays, with the internet and everything, internet wasn't big at all back then. I mean, we had our giant desktop computers, but nobody really used them. With that being said, now the internet, you can get on the internet, you can find snakes. Doesn't mean you need the snake. You know, you got to know your snakes before you go ahead and start trying to look for them. I think it'd be best if you could find somebody to get your first snake from. That way, if you have a problem, you know him personally. You can take it up with him. Instead of buying some snake off the internet, getting a really sick snake. I understand your question is where to get a snake that isn't sick, but a lot of people deal with sick snakes. You know, it's hard to tell who's a good breeder and who isn't. If I give you a name right now, doesn't mean next week he isn't found with a whole bunch of sick animals. So I hate to even say that. I'm not going to answer that one on here. Tim Dotson asked a very good question. I'm not going to go all the way into it. He more or less asked, what do you think about free handling? I also had Abnormal Plans, I do believe. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Also wanted to know about the free handling question. I do not endorse free handling. I hate to dive too deep into this. I think this should be a separate video, but I will start off by saying I have known people to die from venomous snake bite. Personal friends. I don't want to go through that anymore. You know, I mean, these are animals I love, and then they take somebody. It's just like if you were a race car driver, and then like Dale Earnhardt, you know, he lost his dad to, man, it's hard to get back into a car. You know, it's hard to work with those snakes again. You know, I mean, I don't ever blame the snake, but it's tough. You know, with that being said, I don't think you should ever take more risk. I strongly believe there's 2 types of free handlers out there. There's the guy that's trying to make a really good Instagram post, try to look cool with the Cobra. What you don't see on the back end is that guy drops the Cobra 7 times, you know, and the Cobra's all screwed up by the time he's done with it. But yeah, I guess he got a good picture on Instagram. Good for him. Not supporting that. I don't like that. You know, I think these reptiles deserve the utmost respect at all times. Not only because they're venomous, just because they're a living creature. You know, they deserve, if we're going to take care of them, we need to take care of them right. Anyway, yet again, diverging. And then there's also your free handler that, I hate to say names like this, but Nick from Wicked Wildlife. He's from Australia, good friend of mine. I strongly believe in everything he does. I'll back him 100%. He sometimes handles some of his snakes. He knows his snakes. I'm not going to judge him. The only problem that I really have with it is if you get bit tomorrow, God forbid, I hope that never happens. I hope you don't get bit. Hope none of any of us, you know, I hope we all have perfect records. But if that happens in Alabama, the government down there sees that somebody got bit by a cobra yesterday. What is a cobra doing in Alabama? It just raises a red flag. It's like, hey, look, venomous keeper over here. I don't like that. You know, I have lived in a town that found out that I kept reptiles, which I wasn't doing anything illegal, but they didn't like it. And they passed a law. I tried to get grandfathered in. I tried to fight the law. I tried everything I could do. The lawyer that I went to hire said that the best I could do was it would cost me about $17,000 to fight that law. $17,000 sucks. I mean, is it worth it? It's a town of 200 people. I don't know. Like, I mean, this is America. This is the home of the free. You know, I feel like we should be able to do anything that we want, just as long as I'm not hurting my neighbor. I'm not hurting my, you know, whoever. Now, mind you, yet again, from the best of my recollection, there's only been one reported case ever of a snake getting loose and harming somebody other than the keeper. So, I don't know. Statistics seem to stand up, but I don't like free handling. I don't like post and bite pictures. You know, if I get bit by a gecko, let's laugh about it. You know, it's good times. But if I get bit by a Gila monster, we're not going to talk about it. You know, I mean, I might mention that it happened just so you know that my record ain't perfect anymore. But I'm not going to go into detail. You know, unless I feel like you can learn something from it, not going to talk about it. So as far as free handling, Nick from Wicked Wildlife, he's in a different country. I'm not going to judge him. Those are his reptiles. He knows those reptiles very well, and he's not the guy that's trying to make some stupid Instagram post of him holding a cobra. He honestly respects the animal. That's the other type of free handler, is the guy who apparently doesn't own good handling equipment. You know, no offense to you, Nick. I'm not poking fun. That's how you guys do it over there. It's the same way with like the snake farms in India, the snake charmers. Some of those guys don't do it right. Some of those guys don't respect the animal, but a lot of them do. And those ones that do, I have no right to judge what they do. You know, that's none of my business. Only thing I'm worried about is laws here in America. I'm worried about the safety of you guys. And I don't want some young kid to see me doing something stupid that I've been working 20 years to perfect and think that he can go out and try it tomorrow. Bad idea. Same way with hooks, though. I mean, I can say hooking a mamba is no different than grabbing a cobra. You know, both pretty dangerous, let's be honest. We'll talk about that in a later video, even though I think I got most of it out right there. Sorry for the rant. What's your favorite kind of music? That's a little bit off subject, but that's a good one. That's Itry B Bag 99. I'm screwing that up horrible. I have no idea how you say that. Close though, I hope. I like everything. I mean, literally everything. Here recently I've been listening to Tunes and I. She's got a weird voice. I kind of like it. Billie Eilish. She's got a weird voice. Kind of like it. I listened to Little Dicky when he first came out. He's hilarious. You know, how can you go wrong? Eminem, also from Missouri. I'm from Missouri. How can I not? And you're like, he's from Michigan. He was born in Missouri. Check it out. Been listening to a lot of like Alex Terrible from Russia. I think I'm saying that right. He's got a heck of a voice, man. I really like different sounding vocals. It's kind of my thing. It's just, I like people who are a little bit different than the norm. You know, people that don't try to fit in, the people that don't follow the crowd. I don't want to hear the next Justin Bieber. I want to hear somebody that's just a little weird. Leonardo the Useless asks, how many crocodilians do you own at the moment? Plan on getting more? I always plan on getting more. It's a hard one to answer. I'm going to say 6. The reason that's a hard one to answer, like I have a couple crocs on loan at facilities, and I haven't called the facilities in a while. So to the best of my knowledge, they're doing fine. They should be doing fine. I mean, these facilities are pretty decent. So yeah, if everybody's good, I technically own 6. The facilities, like I said, take care of them. They should have called me if anything went wrong. So to the best of my knowledge, everybody's doing good. Everybody's happy on loan. Just haven't checked up on my children in a little while. Bad parenting, I know. Do you only purchase animals, or do you also rescue them from icky situations? Virginia B asked this question. I do a little bit of both. I'm not going to say that I'm some huge rescuer because I'm not. Main reason I'm not a huge rescuer is now I have a really good collection of reptiles that I'm really stoked to have. If I go out and rescue a sick snake, I'm possibly putting my other reptiles in jeopardy. So I'm very careful about what I bring in. Now, a while back, I did get a monitor lizard. His owner was top notch. His owner was great. His owner knew his stuff, which is kind of weird because he kept a lot of ball pythons and then he had a massive Nile monitor. But I'm not here to judge. The guy did a heck of a job raising them. So I can't say it's a rescue, but he posts them on Craigslist for sale. I don't necessarily like Craigslist. You can get some real weirdos on Craigslist. You know, people who just don't know what they're doing. Now at the same time, great keepers go on Craigslist. So I can't, yet again, say there's a rescue. But I feel like I got that animal before someone else could get him. I'm super excited. I will show you him very soon. Right now, he is kind of being a butt. Last time I went to clean the cage, he tried to eat me. And he's big enough, he could. So, gotta be careful of him. He grabbed a hold of me one day of his back feet just because he panicked, because he thought he was falling. He's like 6 foot long, literally 6 foot long, almost as big as I am, it seems like. He grabbed a hold of me with his back feet, and I realized at that exact moment, if I ever need to get this animal off of me, it ain't gonna happen. So, yeah, I need to get him set up. I need to show you guys him. He's got a big room right now that he lives in. Whatever, he's a sketchy animal at times. I've got to work with him more because he used to be a sweetheart. But, ooh, such a good question. Kathy B, you are a genius. Are babies as toxic as their parents? Baby cobras, pit vipers, or anything else? A lot of people think baby snakes are more toxic than their parents. Stupid. Kinda stupid. Let's go a little deeper into this. So a lot of times baby snakes develop venom specific for their prey items. So let's use a baby montane rattlesnake, for instance. This little tiny rattlesnake is going to eat lizards in the wild. Little fence lizards, anything you can get a hold of, really. Well, I shouldn't say that, they're picky. Anyway, little montane rattlesnake, it's going to eat little lizards, so his venom needs to be extremely potent. Lizards' metabolisms are slower than mammals, right? Because they're a reptile, you know, it takes your snake to digest a mouse about a week, right? So your lizard takes a while for it to digest its food. So in order for that venom to metabolize in the lizard, it takes a little while. So therefore the rattlesnake has to be more potent than it would if it was eating rabbits, if it was eating squirrels, if it was eating mice. Has to be more potent. So that little tiny baby eating reptiles, super potent. An adult who's probably specializing on mice, maybe bigger lizards, not quite as potent. But a little baby, when he bites you, might give you like a meg of venom, like not hardly anything at all. That adult is going to give you 30 meg of venom. Huge difference, right? There's no way that that baby is 30 times more toxic than the adult. So therefore, yes, venoms do vary from babies to adults in a lot of species. How much? There's a lot of science behind that. I'm not diving into that. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. But for the most part, getting bit by a larger venomous snake is always worse than getting bit by a smaller venomous snake. If nothing else, the venom goes deeper. And that's, subcutaneous or intermuscular, huge difference. Let me point that out real quick. Sorry for going off on another tangent. Originally, the sea snakes were said to be more toxic than the inland taipan. What they actually found out is sea snakes are not more toxic than the inland taipan. Inland taipan is the most toxic snake on Earth, bar none. There's been some speculation the long-glanded coral snake's more toxic, whatever, I don't care. The inland taipan, as of now, is the most toxic snake on Earth. But why they thought that the sea snakes were more toxic is because the original study done on their venom was injected intermuscular, which means it was injected a lot deeper into the tissue. And then the inland taipan venom was injected very shallow, just right underneath the skin. So therefore, the intermuscular injection of the sea snakes killed the prey a lot faster than the inland taipan. So bigger fangs, possibly deadlier. Should be deadlier in theory. But anyway, Yet again, another tangent. Natalie Turnbull. Great video. You didn't butcher my name. Cool. I didn't last time. I might have this time. Thanks for answering my question. What's your opinion? What's the hardest thing to teach a non-reptile person? That's a tough one. Hardest thing to teach a non-reptile person. Probably that this ain't a disease, that this isn't a mental illness. A lot of people think since I'm obsessed with reptiles that there's something wrong with me. You might get the same thing. You know, if you're watching my videos, you probably like reptiles quite a bit as well. What I found out is I feel like my life is like How to Train Your Dragon, all right? Stupid, I know, it's a child's cartoon, but I can't relate to any one person more than that little dude, that little cartoon guy, ever. Like, he found out that dragons aren't bad. He found out that dragons are actually good, that they're not evil. Well, I found out that these awesome reptiles, these snakes, are not evil. You know, the deadliest snake on earth, I shouldn't say deadliest, most feared snake on earth, the black mamba, it's the great white shark of snakes. That snake is the most terrified little wuss snake in the world. If I come up on that snake in the wild, he is going to panic. He is going to fly. And that's what makes him so dangerous. Because if I get him inside the corner, he ain't going to know what to do. He's going to panic. He's going to come back on me. That's what makes him dangerous. And the fact that he's one of the most toxic snakes on earth with the fastest acting venom, that doesn't help. But with that being said, yeah, it's hard to tell people that, you know, that I just want to share this with others. That's why I'm surrounded. You know, once I found out how cool these are, I can't stop. I can't get enough of it. You know, the more I learn, the better. If my nose ain't in a book, it's in a cage. If my nose ain't in a cage, I'm at least thinking about it, guaranteed. Just thinking about it nonstop. So, teaching people snakes ain't bad. You know, that's really hard. Teaching people they're not out to get you. Teaching people that snake didn't chase you. So, Tavor? Sorry if I'm messing this up. Hartavor. It's got to be something close to that, right? How much does quite a few questions, but how much does YouTube pay you? I can't get into the logistics of that. Before I started uploading again, that month I made $27. So just residual people watching a few of my 2-year-old videos, $27. Nowadays I can make, if I upload daily, I can make like $400, maybe $500, which sounds like good money, but it probably figures out to like $2 an hour because I work about 5 hours on every video, not to mention the lighting, the electricity, the cameras. It costs $1,000. The computers, it costs thousands of dollars. It's just, I honestly don't make money doing it, not yet. It is possible. You can make money doing it. It's tough. People gotta like you. Apparently I ain't too likable. No, I don't really believe that. It's just, oops, just kicked the bucket. Literally kicked the bucket. Anyway, that's beside the point. Yeah, you can make a good living doing it if people do appreciate your content. My channel's still growing. I hope someday to be able to do this full time, because if I'm able to do this full time, I will travel. I'll go to Australia. I'll go down to Texas. I'll go to Florida. Go all over the place. That's my plan. It doesn't take a lot to keep me alive. Just got to have enough to sustain the reptiles. And they practically pay for themselves once you do YouTube videos feeding them and stuff. But anyway. Same person. Can you make a living selling and breeding reptiles? Yes, a lot of people do it. Can make a good living. Back in the day, reptiles were expensive. Ball pythons were the thing, and I knew a guy that had made $250,000 that year. This was a guy I just knew personally. I knew he made that much. If you're trying to get into reptiles for money, probably a bad idea. It takes a lot of work to get there. You have to be passionate to put that much work forth to get to that point. I would never do it for the money. It's just not worth it. You can do a lot of other things and make a lot more money, a lot easier. This is a dog-eat-dog world. Everybody wants to do what they love for a living. Reptiles, a lot of people do really like reptiles. So, do you keep a supply of anti-venom handy? I answered this on my first Q&A. No, but I do have friends that do, pretty local. What's the largest non-venomous lizard or dragon one can keep as a pet? I'm going to say this out of stupidity. I'm going to say like the water monitor, and you're going to say it's venomous. It is. Water monitors are venomous, but not to the degree that it would ever be considered venomous. Like, if you want to get technical, I think technically garter snakes are venomous. People don't need to know that, because people hear that and they're like, oh, garter snakes are venomous. It's okay. They're not going to hurt you. You know, it's fine. Same way with water monitors. Now, a water monitor bite, I'm way more worried about the teeth than I am the venom. It's very minute. It's like a very prehistoric venom gland from the best of my understanding. They can get like 7 foot, 125, 150 pounds, just monsters, true monsters. So Thunder Basilisk asked a very good question. First and foremost, basilisk, one of the coolest lizards on earth. They're commonly referred to as a Jesus lizard because they can run on water. Google that right as this video is over if you don't know what I'm talking about. Awesome name. Anyway, what would you recommend as a good starting hot reptile, also known as a venomous reptile? That's a hard question to answer. I have a couple snakes right off the top of my head that I would normally say, but what do you ultimately want to keep? That's really what matters. Let's say, for instance, your ultimate goal is to keep a prairie rattlesnake. It's a smaller species of rattlesnake. What would be the point in me telling you to get, I don't know, let's say a mangrove snake. That's a rear fang venomous snake that probably isn't going to kill you. Shouldn't kill you unless you have an allergic reaction. Still shouldn't kill you. But anyway, that's beside the point. That snake acts nothing like that prairie rattlesnake. So for you, I would easily say inside this situation, I would say like a pygmy rattlesnake. Reason I say a pygmy rattlesnake, a rattlesnake moves a lot like a rattlesnake. Only makes sense. Some rattlesnakes have their own unique things about them, but for the most part, your pygmy rattlesnake isn't going to kill you unless you have an allergic reaction. Still shouldn't kill you. Keep an EpiPen on hand just in case. Not only that, it truly gets you ready for the snake you want to keep. Okay, your ultimate goal is to keep a gaboon viper. I would say get a blood python. Get a very aggressive blood python. Treat that thing as a gaboon viper daily, every day. You know, don't ever open the cage with your hand. Don't ever grab that snake. Don't ever reach into the cage for the water dish. Treat it like a gaboon. At the end of the year, if you're still doing well, have someone who knows a little something watch you handle, just to see. You know, work towards the gaboon. Don't work towards venomous snake keeping. Because I strongly believe if you can walk in here and work with a mamba, that's awesome. Doesn't mean you're ready for bothrops. It's two completely different animals. In theory, if you can move a mamba, you could probably move a bothrops, but they're different animals. They act totally different. So, 3, 4 great snakes at king rat snake. They're cool, they're fast, they're non-venomous. That's a snake that when you get done with it, you can probably sell it for more than what you bought it originally for, because the market on them's going up. And they're awesome. If you cannot get bit by that, there's a lot of snakes you could probably handle. Hydrodynastes. That is the false water cobra. If you get bit by that, you're not going to die. Maximum venom yield on that snake is 3 mg. It has venom like a rattlesnake, which means it takes about 100 mg to kill you. So it's only 1/30th as deadly as it takes to kill a person. So you're safe. Handle it like a venomous snake. But they are quirky. That's one of the quirkiest snakes there is. That snake is hard to describe to anybody on how, like, to handle that snake. It's just, they're dorky. Like, it's hard to predict what that snake's going to do. Like, they honestly are a weird snake. I handled some at the zoo for years and they're just weird. Anyway, yeah, so I'd honestly take into big consideration what do you want to get. You know, if your ultimate goal is taipans and mambas, yeah, start with some really fast rat snakes. You know, move your way up. I would say really fast rat snakes, go to a copperhead or a small rattlesnake, move up until you can get to the mambas and taipans that you truly want to keep. But honestly, there's no point in branching off into gaboon vipers, you know, because they are nothing like the mambas you want to keep. You know, just work with fast stuff, even if it ain't necessarily extremely venomous. And then if you truly want to get to that level, you really need to find somebody who knows what they're doing to teach you hands-on. Because the sad part is, I don't know what you're doing wrong. I can tell you what to do right, but if you do one thing wrong, game over. So therefore, if I'm watching you, I can be like, oh man, don't do that. Step back. And therefore, I can see that it's way easier to just do it in real life. I understand that's hard, but it's the way to go truly if you're thinking about keeping up here. I mean, if you're just keeping some of the lesser, rattlesnakes or something, I still strongly believe in finding somebody to mentor you, but at the same time, some snakes are more forgiving than others. Went off on a tangent. I'm going to go off on a tangent on all these. Might as well just accept it. What's the scariest moment you've ever had with a reptile, a man to be? There's two. I'm not getting into one of the stories. We will talk about it for a second. But I was once constricted by a large constrictor. Honestly, if I had it to do over again, I think the same exact outcome would have came. Like in my opinion, everything went right. And unfortunately, I still got constricted. It was a 17-foot reticulated python. It had bit another snake. I tried to get it off. Everything went wrong from there on out. Me and one other guy got it off me. No major issues. It never grabbed hold of me. I didn't get bit. It just got around me into a way that I realized that if I was alone, this would have been game over. So luckily enough, handling big constrictors, I always try to keep somebody else around just in case of a freak accident like that. Anyway, the other scariest moment, I had a distraction. So I had this lady, she was just chirping. She was a lady I worked with. She just wouldn't stop. She was talking and talking and talking. And I understand I talk a lot, but very distracting. And I was working with venomous snakes, and normally I would just, throw her all, just tone her out. I'm fine with that. That day, I had 3 Samar cobras, Naja samarensis, which are a spitting cobra, but they rarely spit. Beautiful, beautiful snake. Very toxic, though. One of the most toxic. Anyway, I had one right here in front of me. I knew where he was. He was in the same enclosure right here. I had one right here instead of the enclosure underneath the log. Okay, so I knew where he was, and I had one back here. So I had a sprayer. I was spraying them down, just misting them. Once you start spraying a snake, most of the time they calm down. They're like, ooh, it's raining. This feels nice, and they relax. A lot of snakes do, not all snakes. I was spraying them. This one's good. He's just chilling, drinking, having a good time. This one, I can't see underneath the log. There's a log here. He's tucked up underneath there. Can't see him, but I'm working above him. So cobras typically strike forward and down, which is what cobras do. If you see a snake charmer, they kiss a snake on the head, the king cobra on the head. Snakes, the cobras can't see very well above their head. That's the trick to that. Don't try it. Forward, down, I'm up here, I'm good, right? And then this cobra right here, he's getting a real good drink. So I'm just spraying him down. He's loving life, I'm loving life. She's still talking. I don't know what she's talking about. Toned her out. This snake shoots straight up at my hand. And where I was at, yeah, he definitely could have got me. So I just dropped my wand because I was using one of the pump sprayers. And it was one of the closest calls I've ever had. That was close. You could blame her for talking, distracting me. I shouldn't have been with my hand in the cage, not knowing where that snake's head was and what he was thinking, what he was doing. Because he was clearly lining up for the strike. He was clearly seeing my hand and was like, bet that's food. Or I bet I want that out of here. I don't know what he was thinking. But yeah, he came steaming up. So I dropped the wand, grabbed the wand, said stop talking for at least 3 seconds. Let me get my wits about me. I'm going to close these guys up for now. And then I went on about my day. But never been bit, but that was close. I don't like close calls like that. Amanda B again, what's the golden grail of reptiles you'd love to own one day? I'd love to have a Komodo dragon. That'd be so cool. I can't. I couldn't get the permits to get it. Golden Lancehead, somebody asked, can you get a golden Lancehead? That'd be cool. But I don't know. If you look at golden Lanceheads, occasionally you'll see one that's drop dead gorgeous, but a lot of them are just really ugly. So, I mean, there's that. Gold Street Cobra, I mentioned so last video, I'd really like to have, but Now, red belly black snake would be cool. Sorry if I'm starting to sound a little hoarse. I've been talking so much, my throat's a little messed up. But Kathy T asked a great question. Do you have help cleaning and maintaining the snake room? How do you manage to do that in all your time? You know, how do you manage your day to get it all done? Essentially what she's saying. She lists a lot of her pets and everything, and she's just wondering how I find the time. I work 50 hours a week, every week. I spend probably 30 hours with the reptiles a week, give or take. So it's about 5 hours, 6 days a week. I don't schedule it out. I just get here when I get here, work as long as I can, and then go home. A lot of people, and I do strongly agree, if you're tired, don't work with reptiles. If you're doing the schedule, I at least work 80 hours a week, but you're not taking into consideration about the 4 to 5 hours I spend on every YouTube video. Figuring I'm uploading daily, it's another 30 hours, so I'm at 110. That doesn't matter. I don't require much sleep at all. A lot of people say, man, you gotta be getting tired. I wouldn't be working with venomous snakes. I have a perfect record, not trying to boast or anything like that. I just know what I'm capable of. If I walk into the room, Bothrops needs cleaned and I'm not feeling it, Bothrops don't get cleaned. That's the sad part of being a venomous keeper. Some days you just gotta let it go. I do have help cleaning reptiles, but it's still a lot of work. I wouldn't have it any other way. A lot of people say, oh, you gotta get bogged down. No, this is my playtime. This is my favorite time of the day. When I'm at work, I dream of getting off of work so I can work with the reptiles. This is everything, you know. Wise man once said, you'll never work a day in your life if you love what you work, if what you do for work. I murdered that. You know what I meant, I hope. Malice and chains. How many hours a week do you spend caring for animals? Same question. About 30. Let's say it's about 30. J-Dog One Party RE asks, have you ever thought about getting a reticulated python for your collection? Yes, I've had reticulated pythons in the past, and I might have a reticulated python right now that I just haven't filmed yet. He's anywhere from 12 to 15 foot yellow-headed reticulated python. She's a big girl. But when I got her, she had mites. So I am trying to take care of the mites. I know how to get rid of mites. It's just work. I'm very paranoid about mites. The fact that she has them means I don't handle her. And you're like, has them, had them. I've gotten rid of them. I want to make sure that all the eggs are taken care of. I want to make sure that there's no possible chance that she has mites before I throw a 15-foot snake on my shoulders, carry around, and then go accidentally touch something else. So yes, I have pondered getting a retic for the channel. You will see her soon. Anyway, I do believe that's it for the Q&A. I do appreciate you guys checking this out. I know it was a very long video. Thanks for sticking through it all. As always, if this gets 200 likes, I will do another Q&A next week. I'll give you a shout out if you leave me a question in the comments of this video. There's very few questions I won't answer, so you can ask just about anything. Do appreciate you taking your time yet again to watch this. Share it with your friends. Try to get your friends to subscribe. I really enjoy the growth of the channel. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Stay tuned tomorrow for some more snake videos.